right. Testing, testing. Is this loud enough for y'all? Sweet.
Testing, testing. There's a red light on this, just so you know.
Good morning. Try to move that out of my way. There we go. It's good to be with you this morning. It is really good for us all to be together on this rainy January day threatening sleet and ice later. Whether you are here in person or watching at home, you are welcome here. Our opening words were written by Tanya E. Marquez. Es ahora que estamos llamados a ser testigos del mundo. It is now when we are called as witnesses of the world to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now when we are called to act on our values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. Let us gather. Let us give each other courage. Let us worship together.
Walk together, children. Walk together, children. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary, there's a great camp meeting in the promised land. I said, walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary, there's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Well, walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. There's a great land meeting in the promised land. Walk together, children. Walk together, children. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary, there's a great camp meeting in the promised land. I said, walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary, there's a great meeting in the promised land. Don't you get weary, there's a great meeting in the promised land. Walk together, children. Walk together, children. Walk together, children. There's a great meeting in the promised land. Walk together, children. Walk together, children. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary, there's a great camp meeting in the promised land. I said, walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary, there's a great meeting in the promised
The flaming chalice is a symbol of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the liberal religious tradition to which this congregation belongs. Will those of you here in person please stand as you are able for our chalice lighting? If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it with me at this time. As we kindle this flame, we recommit ourselves to nurturing the spirits of one another and the common good of the world we share. May the light of this flame be welcoming to all who seek a liberal religious home. For those of you already standing, I invite you to remain standing for our opening hymn. Our opening hymn this morning is number 149, Lift Every Voice and Sing, also known as the Black National Anthem. Hello, my name is Abby Rinaldi. I use they, she pronouns, and I'm glad to serve as a part of your worship team this morning. Whether you're a first-time visitor or a long-time member, I'd like to offer you a special welcome. Here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh, we are intentionally inclusive, liberally religious, and actively serving the common good of our shared world. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your own religious journey, you are welcome here. This morning, one of our lay ministers will be available in the front right corner of the sanctuary after the service to talk with anyone who might be experiencing any difficult circumstances in their lives and would like to talk to somebody. I hope all of you will read through the chalice you received by email on Friday about everything happening here around UUFR, or check out the upcoming events section of our website. This morning, someone from our Welcoming for All team would like to make a special announcement.
Good morning. My name is Beth Ligori. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a member of this congregation's Welcoming to All team.
And my name is Davion Washington Jr. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I am also a member of the team.
The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Raleigh strives to be welcoming to all who seek a liberal religious home.
While committed to this ideal, we at UUFR recognize that we sometimes fall short of it regarding being welcoming to people from historically marginalized communities.
Unfortunately, we know that participants at UUFR sometimes say or do things that create situations to make individuals who identify as belonging to historically marginalized communities feel unwelcome.
It's for this reason that UUFR formed the Welcoming to All team and created a process for people to report negative interactions.
If you are a member of a historically marginalized community and have had an interaction with somebody at UUFR or faced a situation that negatively impacted you, we encourage you to fill out our incident form, which can be found at the UUFR website, or contact any member of the Welcoming to All team. Contact information for any team members, which includes both of us, who identify as white or as people of color, can also be found on our website. Just Google UUFR and Welcoming to All.
We also want to acknowledge that we live in a society in which social norms are changing quickly. Sometimes people genuinely wonder about what is welcoming or even acceptable to say or ask or do when interacting with members of historically marginalized communities. Even members of historically marginalized communities themselves sometimes have questions, and not all members of historically marginalized communities agree about what is most welcoming or even acceptable. However, if you would like to initiate a conversation where you can ask questions in a safe space, you can also contact any member of the Welcoming to All team.
We hope all of you will join with us in our efforts to create a religious community that is truly welcoming to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Our in-person social hour this morning will be downstairs in Founders Hall. I now invite you to meet and greet your neighbor.
Let's come back together now and continue our conversations over coffee. Let's come back together. Let's come back together, folks. Using my outdoor voice. so glad you guys are talking to each other. That's really great. Change my page. This is the time in our service when we acknowledge some of the joys and some of the sorrows of our community. We do this because we believe a joy shared is a joy made greater, and a sorrow shared is made easier to bear. Linda Rogers, a longtime member of UUFR, died on January 15th. Information about a memorial service will be shared later. May we hold in our hearts Linda's sons, Carl and Ben, and their families, and all of Linda's loved ones as they grieve this big loss. Pat Butler shares her great sorrow that her daughter, Kim Nimmer, died in a car accident on January 16th. As Pat, Kim's husband, Terry, her daughters, Sienna and Mira, and her sister Pamela process this shocking news and start their grief journeys, may we hold them all in our hearts. As we hold these shared joys and sorrows in our hearts, and as we reflect on the joys and sorrows, fears and hopes in our own lives, let's be together in stillness and in silence, opening ourselves to that spirit within us and amidst us, called by many names, but known to every human heart, that leads us to a fuller and deeper and richer experience of life. After the silence, we'll sing together the first verse of hymn 1045 in the Teal hymnal, "There is a balm in Gilead." But for now, let's be together in stillness and in silence.
Good morning. My name is Russ Outcalt, and I'm a member of your board of directors. And I will be downstairs at social hour after the worship service. If you have any questions you'd like to ask me about the board, talk to me about any concerns you might have, or just say hi. Everything we do at UUFR is only possible because of the generous financial support so many of us provide. For those of you who set up automated giving to UUFR or who send in a check by mail every month, I'd like to thank you now for your generosity. Here at UUFR, we designate one Sunday each month as a Justice Sunday, and all the money collected during our offering is given to a local or national nonprofit organization. Today is our Justice Sunday, and our Justice Council has designated Carolina Abortion Fund as the recipient of today's offering. A member of UUFR's reproductive justice team will introduce our special presenter today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Haley Clabo, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm very thrilled to welcome Ashley from the board of the Carolina Abortion Fund today to give you a brief overview of the important work that they do. I also want to give a quick plug about UUFR's revitalized reproductive justice group. I will be downstairs tabling outside of Founders Hall during the social hour if you want to come up and talk or just say hi. So everyone give it up for Ashley.
Hello all. My name is Ashley Carrington, and I use they, them pronouns. Thank you for welcoming me into this space today. I'm grateful to be here in community with you all and have the opportunity to share about work that is rooted deeply in care, dignity, and the belief that our lives and our choices matter. The Carolina Abortion Fund, often called CAF, is a 501c3 nonprofit founded in 2011 by people who were tired of seeing patients delay or cancel their appointments simply because they couldn't afford the full cost of care out of pocket. At its heart, CAF was created out of frustration with injustice and a deep love for our community. We believe that abortion is health care, and that health care should be well resourced and accessible to all. CAF operates a confidential, toll-free helpline that provides financial, practical, and emotional support to callers in North and South Carolina who are trying to access abortion care. CAF serves all callers, regardless of gender identity, race, age, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, religion, ability, place of origin, citizenship, or any other physical or social defining factors. CAF is an active member of the National Network of Abortion Funds, working in solidarity with organizations across the country who share a commitment to bodily autonomy and mutual care. We believe that abortion is a social good and that people choosing abortion deserve compassion, dignity, and respect. We also believe that CAF's callers are the experts in their own lives, and their decisions are trusted and respected with no expectation of justification. During a period of my own assault, CAF stepped in to provide me with support and resources that were not available to me at the time at the university I was attending. It was heartening to have a space in which one burden was lifted off my shoulders while the trauma of my experience still weighed very heavily upon me. I am grateful to CAF for brief respite. And that is why I personally began as a volunteer, and I am now a board member within the organization. Over the last few years, CAF has grown in response to the need of the folks that it serves. Callers often need financial support not only for the procedure itself, but also for childcare, gas, meals, and transportation coordination. These are not extras. They are essential parts of accessing the care that they need. CAF also has emotional support workers, many who were available to me, and who are always available to help callers navigate their feelings around their decision to have an abortion or to better understand what will be happening with their bodies. For many people, this emotional care is just as important as financial assistance. CAF opens its line to funding requests the first 3 Mondays of each month from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And during that time, staff and volunteers work hard to pledge support to everyone who leaves a voicemail before the budget for that month is reached. To give a sense of the scale of this work, in December alone, CAF received 1,755 calls to the helpline. This also includes our language access line. That month, back in December, we were able to pledge $77,410 towards abortion appointments for 188 people. In total, during 2025, CAF pledged over $1 million towards appointments for 2,355 folks with an average pledge of $366.75 per person. Now, there is often a noticeable difference between the number of voicemails left and the number of pledges made. There are many reasons for this. Some folks call after the line has closed. Some folks call more than once. Others may not be reachable when we call back, or they secure funding in other ways by the time that we connect with them. Even with these challenges, every call represents someone seeking care, support, and reassurance during a deeply personal time. It is also important to name the realities of an abortion fund. Unfortunately, CAF will never be able to cover 100% of the cost of an abortion for everyone who calls. And that is also unlikely to be, and we're also unlikely to be able to help every person who reaches out. The reality is that abortion funds are both desperately needed and chronically under-resourced. Demand for assistance continues to grow while major donor and foundation support remains limited. And individual donors are also feeling the strain of rising costs of living and ongoing uncertainty within our political climate. But yet and still, this work matters. Even when it is difficult, even when resources are stretched paper thin, this work remains essential. For many, supporting abortion access has become an act of resistance in a way that saying bodily autonomy, compassion, and care are not negotiable values even in times of political pressure. The significance of CAF's work right now is closely tied to the current reproductive landscape in North and South Carolina. In North Carolina, abortion remains legal, but with significant restrictions, including a ban after 12 weeks of pregnancy with narrow exceptions. Added upon logistical barriers, it makes it harder to access, especially those who already have limited resources. Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, North Carolina has become a regional access point for people traveling from states where abortion is banned or severely restricted, increasing both the need for care and the strain on our already strained support systems. In moments like this, organizations like the Carolina Abortion Fund become lifelines. They show us what community care looks like in actual practice. They remind us that even when systems fail people, people can still show up for one another, with empathy, respect, and trust. As a community grounded in shared values, I believe this work speaks to something deeply familiar here. It reflects a commitment to honoring individual conscience, supporting human dignity, and caring for one another in tangible ways. CAF's work is about more than funding appointments and making it sure that you can get a DoorDash meal. It is about affirming that people deserve support, safety, and autonomy when making decisions about their own bodies and their own lives. I want to end with this. In times that feel heavy or uncertain, it can be tempting to lose hope. But the work of Carolina Abortion Fund reminds us that hope is something we build together. It lives in phone calls answered with kindness, in resources shared generously, and in communities that choose compassion over judgment. When we come together across differences rooted in care and mutual respect, we create a future where dignity is not conditional and healthcare is not a privilege. That future is possible. And it is already being shaped by the collective efforts of people who believe in justice, unity, and love. Thank you for listening, for holding this space, and for being a community that continues to choose hope. Thank you.
Thank you. If you'd like to make a contribution in person this morning, we invite you to bring it forward and put it in one of our offering plates in the front. If you would prefer to have an usher come to you, please raise your hand. And you may also give using one of the methods that will be shown on our screen. Our offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Can everyone hear me all right? No? Okay. Is that better? Okay. Our reading this morning is excerpted from a 1967 speech by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in which he introduces the three evils of society. Yes, the hour is dark, evil comes forth in the guise of good. It is a time of double talk when men in high places have a high blood pressure of deceptive rhetoric and an anemia of concrete performance. We cry out against welfare handouts to the poor, but generously approve an oil depletion allowance to make the rich richer. I wish that I could say that this is just a passing phase in the cycles of our nation's life. Certainly times of war, times of reaction throughout the society, but I suspect that we are now experiencing the coming to the surface of a triple-pronged sickness that has been lurking within our body politic from its very beginning. That is the sickness of racism, excessive materialism, and militarism. Not only is this our nation's dilemma, it is the plague of Western civilization. Ever since the birth of our nation, white America has had a schizophrenic personality on the question of race. She has been torn between selves, a self in which she proudly professes the great principles of democracy, and a self in which she madly practices the antithesis of democracy. There has never been a solid, unified, and determined thrust to make justice a reality for Afro-Americans. Racism can well be that corrosive evil that will bring down the curtain on Western civilization. If America does not respond creatively to the challenge to banish racism, some future historian will have to say that a great civilization died because it lacked the soul and commitment to make justice a reality for all men. The second aspect of our afflicted society is extreme materialism. An Asian writer has portrayed our dilemma in candid terms. He says, whatever you have, you want more, and wherever you are, you want to go somewhere else. Your devices are neither time-saving nor soul-saving machinery. They are so many sharp spurs which urge you on to invest more machinery and to do more business. When scientific power outruns moral power, we end up with guided missiles and misguided men. We have deluded ourselves into believing the myth that capitalism grew and prospered out of the Protestant ethic of hard work and sacrifice. The fact is that capitalism was built on the exploitation and suffering of black slaves and continues to thrive on the exploitation of the poor, both black and white, both here and abroad. The way to end poverty is to end the exploitation of the poor, ensure them a fair share of the government's services and the nation's resources. The time has come for America to face the inevitable choice between materialism and humanism. We must devote at least as much to our children's education and the health of the poor as we do to the care of our automobiles and the building of beautiful, impressive hotels. We must also realize that the problems of racial injustice and economic injustice cannot be solved without a radical redistribution of political and economic power. The final phase of our national sickness is the disease of militarism. We are arrogant in professing to be concerned about the freedom of foreign nations while not settling our own house in order. The inexorable decay of our urban centers has flared into terrifying domestic conflict as the pursuit of foreign war absorbs our wealth and energy. So we are here because we believe, we hope, we pray that something new might emerge in the political life of this nation, which will produce a new man, new structures and institutions, and a new life for mankind. I am convinced that this new life will not emerge until our nation undergoes a radical revolution of values. A true revolution of values will soon cause us to question the fairness and justice of many of our past and present policies. True compassion is more than flinging a coin to a beggar. It understands that an edifice which produces beggars needs restructuring. A true revolution of values will soon look uneasily on the glaring contrast of poverty and wealth. A true revolution of values will lay hands on the world order and say of war, this way of settling differences is not just. So let us stand in this convention knowing that on some positions, cowardice asks the questions, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And on some positions, it is necessary for the moral individual to take a stand that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but he must do it because it is right. And we say to our nation tonight, we say to our government, we even say to our FBI, we will not be harassed, we will not make a butchery of our conscience, we will not be intimidated, and we will be heard.
Thank you, choir. Thank you, Jean Marie and Tatiana. That song contains language you may not be used to hearing in a UU congregation. We wanted to include it today because it was Dr. King's favorite song, and at his lowest moments, he would call up Mahalia Jackson to sing it to him, to give him strength to do what he needed to do. It was September 1962. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was giving a speech at the SCLC convention, the fourth one. As he was speaking, a man came up from the audience and punched him in the face, caused him to bleed, and when he got back up, the man punched him again. MLK's Friends and colleagues came to retaliate against the man who turned out to be an American Nazi Party member, Roy James. And they wanted to retaliate with violence. MLK said no. Finally, the police came and took him to jail, while all those at the convention prayed for Roy James. After he was charged, MLK dropped the charges. I don't remember when during my youth my school started closing for Martin Luther King Day. According to the internet, Oregon started closing school for MLK Day in 1980. Whether it was because I was in Oregon or whether I went to Catholic school, I don't know. But I don't remember getting structured learning around the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Somehow, by the time I became a young adult, I had learned what broader society wanted me to learn about him. I learned of his commitment to nonviolence, so vividly portrayed in the story I just told you. I learned of his dream that all people would be judged by the content of their character, regardless of the color of their skin. I learned of his powerful leadership during the struggle in the 50s and 60s for Black civil rights and of his tragic martyrdom. In short, I learned what was convenient for a white person in the 80s and 90s to learn: that all protests should be peaceful, and that it was possible to treat all people the same by ignoring the color of their skin. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was an exceptional man and a heroic man. But when society makes a hero out of a person, too often we forget that the hero is only able to accomplish their heroics with the help of many other unsung heroes. And we're led to believe that the hero is somehow superhuman, accomplishing things that we mere humans are incapable of accomplishing. The stories we are told about the hero are the stories most likely to maintain the status quo. It takes curiosity, intentionality, and perhaps a healthy dose of skepticism to learn the stories of the nuance, the vulnerability, and the courage of the heroic person. The case of the heroic Dr. King is no different. The reading we heard earlier contained excerpts from Dr. King's speech he delivered at the National Conference of New Politics in August 1967, in which he names the three evils of society, which are racism, excessive materialism, and militarism. Three evils so intimately interconnected that one could not be addressed without the others. Society celebrates the Dr. King, who helped achieve great victories in Black civil rights with the passage of the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and the Fair Housing Act. But the Reverend Dr. King set his sight much higher than that. He wasn't just fighting for Black civil rights. He was fighting for justice for all. The societally inconvenient Dr. King knew that to truly beat racism required fundamental changes in the economic and political systems of this country, systems that were designed to perpetuate racism and discrimination. The three evils, racism, excessive materialism, and militarism, were so fundamentally intertwined that to tackle one required tackling them all. Dr. King needed to look no further than his own experience growing up as a Black child in Atlanta, Georgia, to understand the first evil of society, racism. His father was a preacher, serving at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, and through his father's words and deeds modeled for the young Martin the importance of loving everyone and acting against segregation and discrimination. By the time Martin was 19 and finishing his bachelor's degree in sociology from Morehouse College, he knew that he was going to be a preacher like his father. He went to Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania and witnessed Northern racism. More nuanced than the Jim Crow South, but just as insidious. While in seminary, Martin, in the margins of his notes, wrote critiques of capitalism and Marxism. And he started seeking a middle way, which he called a socially conscious democracy. In a letter to his future wife, Coretta, written while working on his doctorate at Boston University, he wrote that communism was too atheistic and capitalism takes necessities from the masses to give luxuries to the classes. American capitalism's focus on maximizing profit fueled producing more and encouraging people to buy more and privileged the owners who exploited the labor of the workers. Systems of racism ensured that black workers had the least privilege and the lowest wages. By the time he received his doctorate, Dr. King felt that wealth redistribution was the only way to correct the injustices of the American economic system. As early as 1950, near the end of his time in seminary, Dr. King began using nonviolent civil disobedience tactics to fight for civil rights. His knowledge of such tactics was deepened through learning of Mohandas Gandhi's political successes in India, using strategies built in part from the writings of Henry David Thoreau. During Dr. King's life, he would have seen how America's involvement in World War II and subsequent Cold War activities led to an upsurge in military readiness and increased reliance on resolving conflict by military means. Militarism is at its core the belief that economic and political gains should be achieved by military means, prioritizing military power over diplomacy and other societal needs. Dr. King was against war from the outset, from the time his father taught him to love everyone. For Dr. King, this was a religious imperative. As he said in his speech, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, delivered in April of 1967, while he was explaining how being against the Vietnam War was part of his work against racism, he said, "I must be true to my conviction that I share with all men the calling to be a son of the living God. Beyond the calling of race or nation or creed is this vocation of sonship and brotherhood. And because I believe that the Father is deeply concerned, especially for his suffering and helpless and outcast children, I come tonight to speak for them. This I believe to be the privilege and the burden of all of us who deem ourselves bound by allegiances and loyalties which are broader and deeper than nationalism, which go beyond our nation's self-defined goals and positions. We are called to speak for the weak, for the voiceless, for the victims of our nation, and for those it calls enemy. For no document from human hands can make these humans any less our brothers." This may not be the language that we would choose here at the UU Fellowship of Raleigh. But using the language of our shared UU values, we are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. And we covenant to use our time and wisdom and attention and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive committees. This is our theology. This is what impels us to justice work. Dr. King risked his life to advance the cause of justice because of his religious imperative to love everyone. And while we might not be risking our lives and might not say it in the same way as Dr. King, our spiritual principles and values call us to the same thing, to love everyone and to act accordingly. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't choose to use nonviolence because it was easy or because it was nice or safe. I'm sure Dr. King had plenty of rage at the oppressive conditions faced by himself, his loved ones, his congregants, and his communities, and even other countries. But rather than express that rage with violence, he chose to channel his rage into righteousness, righteous, disciplined, strategic, righteous, disciplined, strategic, dangerous, moral, nonviolent, non-compliance. For he knew in his heart the words of Audre Lorde, that the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. You cannot defeat violence with violence. You cannot defeat hatred with hate. Only love can do that. Nonviolence is not passive or submissive. Nonviolent noncompliance is active, courageous confrontation with evil. Pacifism is the belief that conflict cannot be resolved quickly and permanently by military force and violent means, but only through deep understanding of the beliefs and needs and desires of those in conflict and in committed and good faith effort to find an agreement acceptable to all affected. Anyone who has been in relationships knows that addressing conflict peacefully is never easy. It's never convenient, and it's certainly not comfortable. But if you truly want to save the relationship, if you truly love each other, there's no other way to do it. The truth is that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was working for radical social, economic, and political change. From his pulpit at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama, from his first actions as part of the Montgomery bus boycott that threw him into the national spotlight, to his leadership of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, to the March on Washington, to Selma, and his speaking out against the Vietnam War and the Poor People's Campaign, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would stop at nothing short than a revolution of values that would transform society into a just society for everyone. On the road from Montgomery to this place, Black civil rights wasn't the goal. Full justice, full stop, was always his goal. And he never acted alone. There were many, many heroes who acted with him, both named and unnamed. Some of these heroes were Black, some were not. Some belonged to unions, some were pacifists, some were socialists. For justice cannot be achieved unless you build a bigger tent. The individual issues or campaigns change, the goal of justice does not. The concept of building a bigger tent is one reason I am so excited about the work that our broad-based community organization, One Wake, does. Right now, we're working for affordable housing. That particular issue might change in the future, but justice is always the goal. Member organizations might not have the same life experiences or theologies, but for all of us, justice is the goal. And the more experiences we all have, the more robust the strategy becomes, the more people will be affected for the better, and the more we each grow for knowing each other and working together. On Valentine's Day morning, I will be celebrating Dr. King's legacy by pulling from his work organizing the Poor People's Campaign. I will be attending the Mass People's Assembly and Moral March on Raleigh. Feel free to join me. This week, as we remember the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., may we go beyond the late 1980s middle school curriculum, beyond the I Have a Dream speech, and dig into the less comfortable, more radical teachings. For there is where beloved community is truly to be found. May it be so. I invite you to stand as you are able for our closing hymn, which is hymn 1007, There's a River Flowing in My Soul.
Close enough.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Please be seated. As we end this time of worship together, I would like to read a poem called The Elders written about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by Elizabeth Alexander. The elders watched him glitter, watched him gleam, took his unrough hands in their cotton-scarred hands, cut their eyes at him, observed the ease with which he smiled, asked, finally, what is love? And who are the people? And how must we love them? And what do we need? What is now? Look at the lines in the corner of Youngblood's eyes, lined not unlike our hands. And perhaps this is not gleam, but illumination, not merely his, but ours. As we leave this place, may we do so with ever more love for one another. May we do so with ever more gratitude for this precious gift of life we shared this very day, and with ever more peace in our hearts, with ever more hope for our own lives and the world we share. Amen.